from class 11th, along with Rushikesh Sir, Vaishnavi Wag from class 12th and 11th respectively. Today on this show we have a guest who is a psychoanalyst, a member of the International, American, as well as the Indian Psychoanalytical Society. Moreover, she is the co-editor of the book Psychoanalytic and Socio-Cultural Perspectives on Women in India. Words are not enough to describe her accolades. Yes, viewers, I am talking about none other than Dr. Jhuma Basak. Let's wait for her to join the interview.
Should I take off?
Warm welcomes, Dr. Jhuma, ma'am. We're very happy to have you here. How are you, ma'am, today?
Thank you. Um, so, a warm welcome to all the participants here, जिनको मैं देख नहीं पा रही हूँ screen पे, but उम्मीद कर रही हूँ कि we can see each other. Um, I am very grateful to the National Defense Academy and the Adhan Defense Academy कि मुझे ये opportunity आपने दिए हैं to be able to meet with the aspiring candidates of the National Defense Academy. And it's a great privilege for me कि आप सभी से मेरी बात करने की ये मौका मिली है. As you can see, my Hindi is terrible and I apologize for that. But in spite of that, I will continue जितना हो सके in Hindi और थोड़े बहुत in English as well. Um, So, firstly, I would like to um, begin with my appreciation for you, actually, my appreciation for all the candidates. जो ये सारे आप जो class 11, 12 students में हैं, I would like to appreciate you because आपने एक बहुत brave and courageous step, सोच, decision लिए हैं to apply for sitting for the National Defense Academy to go for this test. I think it comprises GAT, GAT and mathematics से सब मिला के है, फिर इंटरव्यू भी है. मेरे लिए मेरे हिसाब से ये एक बहुत बड़ा स्टेप है, बहुत important decision है, because you are thinking in terms of the country, and that is huge. कोई एक इंसान cannot stand next to any country. So आप अपने आप को अपने आप के सर्विसेज, भावनाएं, आपके सारी जिंदगी you want to give to the country. इससे बड़ा I think courageous step, courageous decision हो ही नहीं सकता. So for me, आपका 50% of the work is already done. It's like a little जब हम let's say when we look at um, let's say the firemen, ठीक है, जो आग बुझाते हैं, तो मेरे लिए जो आम इंसान है उनके लिए लगता है कि ये आग में कूद कैसे जाते हैं, डर नहीं लगता है. मतलब डर तो और दूर की बात है कि आग में कूदने के बाद भी वो बार बार यही करते हैं, यही उनका काम है, इन स्पाइट ऑफ बीइंग बर्न्ड और हर्ट, होपफुली नॉट इन अ लार्जर मैनर, बट कभी इधर उधर हो ही सकता है, पर उनका काम ही ऐसा है कि जहां पे वो अपनी जिंदगी को सेकेंडरी मानते हैं, और आप वही आई वुड से you're choosing that pathway कि आप in the service of the country you are considering अपना individual life secondary to this great I would say giving और this is a phenomenal capacity. It's a tremendous decision जहाँ पे आपके वो फायरमैन जैसे मुझे लगता है आपका स्ट्रेंथ है, आपका उम्मीद है, विश्वास है, जो is very different from the rest of the civil society. And it is very important for me कि मैं ये आपको शेयर करूं, क्योंकि you're just beginning your thoughts, your life in this pathway. और आपको ये जानकारी होना चाहिए कि every person is meant for something very unique in life. और आपका जो यूनिक डिसीजन आपने लिए हैं, this is very very different from the rest of civil society, which definitely includes me. And I want to begin with my appreciation आप सभी के लिए जो ये डिसीजन ले रहे हैं कि yes, we want to go through this hurdle, through this test. and ये एक बार की नहीं है, ये जिंदगी है आपकी. This is how you will live, either in the airlines, or in the air force, or in the navy, or on land. Absolutely, um, uh, I would say tremendously commendable to begin the journey. Once you begin the journey, सोच लिए हैं, अभी एक्शन लेना है आपका. फर्स्ट एक्शन इज टू गो फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन. इज सीरीज ऑफ हर्डल्स. आपके एक आफ्टर वन आफ्टर द अदर आपको हर्डल्स मतलब पार करना है, जो रेजिस्टेंस है पार करना है. वो टेस्ट है, टेस्ट ऑफ रेजिलियंस. वहां पे आ रही हूँ थोड़ी देर बाद. बट बिफोर दैट एक बेसिक जगह पे आई वुड लाइक टू कनेक्ट, जहां आई थिंक बोथ दिस चॉइस ऑफ योर्स और आपका जो कम्युनिकेशन कैपेसिटी है, वो दोनों कैसे मैच कर सकता है. कम्युनिकेशन का अर्थ मतलब दो तरह की कम्युनिकेशन होता है इन द लार्जर फील्ड. वन इज वर्बल एंड द अदर इज नॉन वर्बल. और मजा की बात यह है, जैसे आप शायद बहुत सारे जानते हैं, सबसे ज्यादा पावरफुल कम्युनिकेशन कौन सी है? नॉट द वर्बल, शब्द वाला नहीं, द नॉन वर्बल. आप सोच लीजिए, जब आपके गुस्सा आते हैं और या सोच लीजिए मन में दुख आता है, शब्दों से नहीं भरता मन. somebody just with a hand on your head or on your back, a soothing hand, और शब्द की जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ता है, and you get so much strengthened with that. So this is the basic model of any form of communication. और जैसे हम बात करते हैं, जैसे आप शायद मुझे देखेंगे कि दोनों ही एक ही तरह चलता है, शब्दों से भी होता है और नॉन वर्बल भी होता है. स्पेशली जैसे फॉर मी इन दिस सिचुएशन, जहाँ पे हिंदी अनफॉर्चुनेटली मेरी उतना स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट नहीं है, तो क्या होता है, यू यूज अ लॉट मोर ऑफ बॉडी लैंग्वेज to reach to the other person. So सबसे important बात है in communication is that मेरे मन की बात, वो मेरे भावना, मेरी सोच जो भी है, वो आप तक पहुंचती है. That is the most important part. और उसके लिए मुझे जो करना है, बात करना है, साइलेंस में एक्सप्रेस करना है, बहुत सारे नॉन वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन के द्वारा एक्सप्रेस करना है, ये सारे मिला के आप तक पहुंचना है. बट पहुंचना इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. ये पहुंचना इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज ये पहुंचने के साथ आपका गोल जुड़ी हुई है. गोल, it is very important. You are entering into a field, into a certain kind of work, जो वर्क एक्चुअली आपके साधना जैसे हैं. भगवान को हम जैसे पूछते हैं, वैसे आपका वर्क है. Not just that, जैसे साधना होता है, जैसे we have the great musicians, singers, जो जिंदगी भर decade after decade, year after year सिर्फ रिवाज करते हैं. All of this is part of sadhana. It's the same thing. The training that you are aspiring to enter is a training for the rest of your life. So goal is extremely important, to have that clarity कि मुझे कहाँ पहुंचनी है, किसके पास पहुंचनी है और मेरे वार्ता क्या है। तो वार्ता कैसे हम आप तक पहुंचाते हैं इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट, बट वार्ता पहुंचाना है और आपके पास ही पहुंचाना है। So this communication in your work is very, very important. It's hand in hand. And we were talking about how your choice of this uh, let's say this discipline. जैसे आप you're entering the entrance test and you want to definitely qualify to be able to join the defense academy, the defense of the country. इसके साथ very interesting part, goal, communication, your bravery, your courage, your choice, and the most important part along with that is competition. No, this is a very interesting part. आपके competition, मेरी सोच से I am not so qualified as the majors and the teachers of your academy because they live in that. They have that life in it. I am just an external person who is trying to understand बाहर से. तो बहुत सारे मेरी lapses हैं. But in spite of that, one point that I would like to distinguish in terms of competition, आपकी competition और बाकी competition से कैसे फर्क होते हैं। जैसे हम लोग competition के बाद तो सुनते हैं even for marketing, जो मार्केटिंग पर्सनल है उन लोगों को भी कंपटीशन है, कंपटीशन पे जाना है और वन इज पिच्ड अगेंस्ट द अदर। तो मेरे गोल लेट्स से 10 क्लाइंट्स है तो आपके गोल 20 क्लाइंट्स है, वगैरह वगैरह, दैट्स आल्सो कंपटीशन। बट योर कंपटीशन I believe is very, very once again different. Your competition cannot be looking at the other person and uh, telling yourself, I have to be better than him or her. Your competition is looking at the goal repeatedly and competing with yourself every day, how I can go beyond. Because time is very important in your discipline. आप मुड़ के देखें तो आप मुड़ के देखेंगे तो वक्त निकल जाएगा, one split second निकल जाएगा, and you are in a field, my friend, you are in a field of defense. Implied, आप defend कर रहे हैं कोई attack को, you cannot afford to look back. So you have to create a system within yourself जहां पे आप self assess कर रहे हैं at every step, and every time your goal has to be to get beyond that, to beyond that, and closer to the goal. So my competition is actually where I started from and where I am today, or where I must be tomorrow. And every day it needs to be assessed with myself. Because psychologically speaking, if I look at, it's not just आप मुड़ के देखेंगे तो आपके हाथ से वो split second वक्त निकल जाएगा। ये जितना ही सच है उतना ही सच है कि आप और एक बंदा को आप देखेंगे that he or she, doing better. जैसे our parents say often, उनको देखो, our teachers also say, इनको देखो। कभी कभी देखना जरूरत है जब इंस्पिरेशन की जरूरत है। मैं बाद में आऊंगी इंस्पिरेशन के बारे में। But in talking about competition, what psychologically is not desirable to look at the other person, because my morale will get disturbed, my focus will get disturbed. ये goal के साथ my focus has to be aligned. वहां पे और किसी का जगह नहीं हो सकता. The moment that happens, my friend, I will lose my focus and goal. And the discipline that you're planning to enter is extremely demanding. आपको जी भर के देना है. आपको जी भर के देना है अपने देश को. So there can't be anything in between you and that one singular goal, my friend. ये कहना civil people के लिए जैसे में आसान है. I wish I had the opportunity of witnessing all the great fighters, soldiers, all the great army people of my country. Sometimes I think it's very important to understand what they do for us, or most important, see, they do it without anybody having any idea who they are, what they are, where they are. This is the most amazing part. It is so एक तरह के एक जगह से I can say it is so huge, and yet it is so personal, intimate. Uh, there is no other person in between. We civilians unfortunately have only seen movies on it, how and read a little bit of it. आपके साथ बात करने आने से पहले मैं थोड़ा I was trying to do my little homework because मेरी direct experience नहीं है आपके field का, unfortunately. तो वहां पे one comes across that any commitment, any larger commitment than the self, even if we look at, let's say, the Indian cricket team, or when we look at that kind of sportsman commitment, jahan pe we are representing the country, and definitely when we are talking about you, the defense platform, the defense, let's say, battalion, all of it, all of you, uh, वहां पे you we see it in the movies that you cannot have time even for uh, uh, simple emotions of family and romance and um, let's say childlike exchanges. Um इसके बाद ये इसके मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपको ये मौका नहीं मिलेगा. Don't get me wrong, my friend. इसका मतलब है we'll have to see all of these are connected. There is a time, place, and action. You will have a specific time for that. So discipline is very important in life. And we think discipline is only about the army. Not necessarily. If you have to listen to an interview by A.R. Rahman, they talk about working 16 hours or 18 hours composing music. वो discipline बिना नहीं हो सकता है. You and I just see it in the media and we imagine कि उनके life, will be great fun with parties and people and shows. ऐसा होता नहीं है. It is a matter of great discipline. If I have listened to interviews of on online, yes, of course, even you can do it, of A.R. Rahman with people that you would love to listen to, even Shah Rukh Khan before he became the great king, the King Khan. The kind of the number of hours of work they had to do, वो बिना discipline नहीं हो सकता है. And yes, your work is something that you have to inculcate. आपको चर्चा करनी है डिसिप्लिन की every day. और वो डिसिप्लिन डिवाइस की ये टाइम आपका let's say for fun, for family, और ये टाइम आपका for the goal, for your self preparation. When it is such a big goal, some of you may have also seen the movie वो भाग मिल्खा भाग. जब आपका इतना बड़ा गोल होता है, where you're representing India, where you are every person is looking up at you and waiting, India is waiting for you, तब it's a very big I think project, and we have to be prepared to give ourselves to that kind of a big project, and not everybody has that courage, like the fireman's courage. And that's where inspiration comes. It's very important. Inspiration कैसी आती है. Inspiration is a different matter. और वो जो हम कहते हैं ना कि उसको देखो, इनको देखो, उनको देख के सीखो. Yes, parents and teachers tell us not in terms of in the view of competition, but in the view of inspiration. और अगर recent movie मैंने देखी, शायद अगर आपको मौका मिले तो आप देख सकते हैं. Very simple movie, 12th Fail. It is on a life story of a young boy, young man, आप जैसे हैं, who came from a very humble family, very humble, you can almost say poverty line family. चंबल पे वहाँ उनका मतलब he grew up there, he was born there, he was who grew up there. और वहां पे how he fought with every resistance in order to reach his goal, and who was his inspiration. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है, थोड़ा सा आपको एक बार टच करके चली जाऊंगी. I won't tell you the whole story. You can go and watch it. This was in school. वो चंबल में एक स्कूल, लोकल स्कूल जैसे होते हैं, वहां पे पढ़ाई करते थे. वहां जैसे हम सभी का थोड़ा बहुत एक्सपीरियंस होगा, नॉट डिजायरेबल दो, कि वो चीटिंग करने का मौका दिया जाता था. तो क्वेश्चंस बता दो या जैसे भी हो चीटिंग कर लेते हैं, वैसे the whole class would do that. पर एक बार a particular IPS officer came and he stopped that. And um, much later, in a couple of months' time or years' time, whatever, this gentleman, this young boy, his brother gets into a false case of um, uh, being taken by the police because he was selling alcohol or something like that, but it was a false case. So he ran to the IPS officer who saved his brother. And then this young boy said, I want to be like you, sir. तो उन्होंने एक ही बात कहा था, वो आईपीएस ऑफिसर वो यंग मैन को एक ही बात कहा था कि then you have to stop cheating. See the inspiration, please go and watch the movie. And then starts his journey on the path of truth. So देखिए कैसे ये सारे points are related. Once he starts his journey on the path of truth, and that's where शायद हम भी उनके साथ, आप भी उनके साथ आइडेंटिफाई कर पाएंगे, comes this fighting spirit. The fighting spirit is not about कि झगड़ा करने की आदत, तोड़ फोड़ करने की आदत. No, this is not the fighting spirit. Fighting spirit is the capacity to resist. Resist करना है against evil. But while I resist against evil, I am building and protecting the good. तो ये रेजिस्टेंस में, ये फाइट में मेरा एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव जगह है, where I'm building for the good, for myself and for the other person. This fighting spirit is what is required in you, in us, in, I would say, in regular human beings. There's so much that we can learn from the army spirit. It's unbelievable. And this is what it's different from जैसे other industries and having competition. आपकी competition बहुत अलग है. So this is inspiration, competition, fighting spirit. आपका fighting spirit and the marketing fighting spirit cannot be the same. So I think all of these things are related in a way, and I try to talk to you in जैसे हो सकता है in a very short span of time to be able to take out a few points which is very मेरी नजर से which is very important for you to keep in mind while you are training yourself psychologically, physiologically, intellectually to enter into this kind of a platform, the defense platform. And इसके साथ I had मतलब just touch करके गई in terms of time management, and we were talking about time management. जैसे there is a time, the discipline का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप रात 3 बजे से रात 2 बजे तक काम ही काम करते रहेंगे. Discipline is about time, place and action. कौन जगह में, कौन सा टाइम में, कौन एक्शन होना चाहिए, उसका एक in a way a larger routine formation, so that the routine acts as a guideline, nothing more, as a guideline for me to follow. Otherwise, we are all simple human beings, okay? So we can slip anytime, we can make mistakes. So guideline रहने से वो होता है ना कि manual जैसा आप पीछे जाके look through the pages and say, yes, this is what I have to do. So it's very important. It protects, it acts as a guideline. So time management, when we're talking about, yes, this is your time for your intellectual activity. जैसे आप I mentioned a while back, जैसे आप अगर संगीत साधना करते हैं तो संगीत साधना में आपको क्या कहते हैं कि अर्ली मॉर्निंग उठ के आपको रिवाज करनी है, क्यों है? Because the early morning vocal sounds when you first wake up in the morning after sleeping a couple of hours, and with the dawn, and with the breaking of the morning, how all of this responds, not just of the morning, the breaking of, let's say, nature, birds, everything, how all of that is integrated. So there is a time for that. Similarly, when we are looking at training ourselves and preparing ourselves for the defense academy and the defense life that I want to give myself to, तो वहां पे जैसे there is a time for my physical चर्चा जो करनी है, my intellectual चर्चा जो करनी है. Similarly, there is a time for how long and what kind of fun I can afford. A sportsman cannot afford to have fun like a general, let's say, civil person जो यहाँ पे रात भर, let's say, chatting or drinking. It's not possible because your commitment, your goal is something so big. वहां पे I, मतलब हम खुद, is very small to look at. I have to have that large heart, that vastness in my consciousness, in my mind, to give myself um, completely, selflessly, for a certain cause that I believe in, something which is my calling, much, much greater than maybe mere mortals. And not everyone is capable of doing it, including me. But at least let me try and see how I can appreciate जो कर सकते हैं. और let me try and see कि कैसे खुद को हम ऐसे बना सकते हैं. If I want to, want आया है, अभी खुद को तैयार करनी है. Want is the first step. I have to want something. And I think your families are equally very, very remarkable because they are encouraging you to enter a life of such commitment. This is in general that I would like to say. And I think शायद अगर मौका हो सकता है और हम interactive session में जाए तो maybe it'll be much more interesting, because I think for younger people, for anybody actually, when we talk with someone तो अपनी खुद का clarity बढ़ती है और अपना engagement भी बढ़ता है. So I think I would be very happy if you and I have an opportunity of exchanging thoughts, question answers. मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि आपके जो concerns हैं वो सारे duly to respond to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your golden words. We are truly delighted for them. So, without wasting even a single minute, let's begin with the question round, shall we? So, the first question that will be presented will be from my side. In this phase, that is the written exams, we have to study a lot of different subjects and whatnot. So, it comes to uh, a study load. We have to focus on a vast variety of subjects. My seniors, my contemporaries alike have it burden. Many exhibit symptoms of sleep deprivation, lack of physical training, and even skipping meals sometimes. So, ma'am, my question to you would be that um, how should we practice? How should we handle these gloomy times before the exam? How should we handle ourselves at the least?
Okay. Um, I think some all these points मैं कोशिश की ही जब आपसे बात कर रही थी कि उनको थोड़ा टच करके जाऊं. Time management is a very important thing, so you have to prepare. Let us first accept, young friends, that This is a test that you have to specially prepare yourself. Okay, this is your entrance level, of course, and it calls for a certain specific kind of preparation. तो कोई भी एग्जाम के पहले नर्वसनेस होती है, और वो जितना नेशनल लेवल हो, इंटरनेशनल लेवल हो, जितना बड़ा हो, उतना ही शायद हमारी नर्वसनेस बढ़ती है. नॉट जस्ट जितना बड़ा हो, जितना my passion is involved in it, कि how much do I want it. तो अगर ये मौका हाथ से निकल जाएगा तो मुझे बहुत दुख होगी. तो ये जितना इंटेंस होगा तो उतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाएगा, एंड our nervousness will grow. Now, what I would say is that it is extremely important to be passionate about what we are doing, what we are choosing, and you're young people. Of course, आपका passion ही आपका एक हथियार होगा in order to overcome this examination. But we need to regulate that passion. We need to regulate passion with time. जैसे थोड़ी पहले आपसे बात करें कि हम जब संगीत साधना करते हैं तो we do the alap in the beginning, okay, before we come to major songs. Similarly, you have to divide up your hours, the day, your preparation, कि कितने बजे हम we will get up, and what kind of studies will we do when we wake up in the morning.
Hello.
Do we start with physical exercises? Do we start with what kind of subject? And then what kind of breaks we do? Um,
गुस्सा
one
में क्या रहा है?
advice. Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you are
Hello?
audible.
Okay, okay. Because I could hear some other noises, so I thought I will check. Thank you. Thank you, Rishikesh, right? Thank you. So as I was saying, to divide up the day, and जब जैसे डेस्क वर्क जब आपको करना है, जैसे सोच लीजिए आप सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ रहे हैं, ज्योग्राफी या हिस्ट्री, तो plan your studying in such a manner कि it is not like एक साथ 3 घंटा 4 घंटा या 5 घंटा लगातार बैठ के पढ़ेंगे. It is difficult to sustain in that way. So we usually encourage, okay, if you can do it 2 hours at a stretch, great, but definitely 1 hour at a stretch. And then you can take a brief break, not more than 5-10 minutes, because if you take more than 5-10 minutes, तो मन वहां पे चला जाएगा, and then it'll be difficult to bring it back. So break should also be very limited, because let us understand, पहले गोल बनानी है, syllabus पकड़ के गोल बनाने हैं. You have to create a certain routine. You have to create a certain structure of the routine. Routine का मतलब जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि it's a guideline कि approximately कितने बजे I will get up. I'm managing my time through my routine, and you are entering into an examination जहाँ पे आपका intellectual as well as physical as well as general knowledge all together आपका test हो रहा है. So you'll have to divide up your time accordingly. And yes, sometimes it's important to give rest to the mind for a long period of time during the day while you're preparing. So lunch can be a good break. After lunch, you take a break of 45 minutes to rest. In the evening, it can be a break. Late hours, आपकी generation ये विश्वास करने चाहते हैं that they work very well late hours. I well, I come from another generation. I would say that you're entering into a field जहाँ पे late hours, if you're awake, you will still have to get up in the early hours of the morning. So let us not find excuses that I work better at night, तो मैं दिन को 12 बजे नींद से उठूंगी, तो ऐसा नहीं होता है. So divide up the day in a balanced manner, where you have to have balance of sleep, you have to have balance of sleep means at least 6 to 8 hours. Your young people, 6 hours can be all right, 6, 7 hours can be all right, but definitely not in like 2 hours, 3 hours. And sometimes it's possible if it's a crisis or a certain situation demands that. Yes, you have to be prepared. You're entering into a discipline that demands that. But your system also has to find a way of creating a healthy structure. Jaise, how do you create a healthy body? By having good food. Good food ka matlab ye nahi hota hai by having chicken or by having a lot of expensive food. um, I come from a middle class Bengali family where good food and good health consisted ki aap wo savere बादाम और छोले खाते हैं और केला खाते हैं, and you find a lot of stamina with that. So of course I'm sure your family will guide that, or even your teachers will guide that, your trainers will guide that on that. But in order to develop yourself physically, you need a strong structure, right? A strong structure, so that अगर जरूरत पड़े आप बारिश में भीग भी जाए तो आपका निमोनिया हो जाए नहीं होगा, जैसे शायद मेरी हो सकता है. My probability will be more because I am not trained, my body is not trained in that. Similarly, your mind and your emotions also have to be trained accordingly. So you have to give that time, that okay, if required situation demands 2 3 hours, or whatever I sleep, but to be able to provide that kind of a structure जहाँ पे मैं 2 3 घंटा अगर so तो I'll be able to still function. I will have to have a backup of a regular at least 6 hours of sleep, and then of course following a regular let's say physical activities, intellectual activities. It is good that thinking patterns, thinking stuff is done more in the first half of the morning than on the second half. The second half, post lunch, will be more relaxed kind of things to read and that kind of subjects. But when you're thinking about, like I saw that you have a subject in mathematics where you have to really think, I think that would be nice if you do it in the first hour, first half of the morning. And of course, I think physical activities is something that you can look at morning and evening, and then you can, end the day with something much lighter, reflecting on yourself. What has been your strength? What has been your weakness? It is very important when entering in this discipline, the I would say the defense academy, the defense platform discipline, that we have I would say a a kind of, I don't know how to put this, that you are you are prepared for a lot of um, uh, unexpected uh, um, let's say developments, unexpected things, and you're trained at a physiological level. One thing that we do not usually talk about is the emotional kind of strength. How do we gather emotional strength? This is very important. Now, emotional strength, very interestingly, comes from our emotional pathway. देखिए, we say that girls are very emotional and they start crying, and boys are very strong, they don't start crying. Now, it's very interesting. My teacher used to say, who taught me psychoanalysis, used to say, the mind must be as strong as the grass. ग्रास को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं? I'm not sure. आप समझ गए ना? Grass, grass. Okay, okay. The mind has to be as strong as the grass. तो मैं प्रश्न करती थी उनको कि ग्रास कैसे स्ट्रॉन्ग हो सकता है? तो उन्होंने बताए, सोच लो कि बारिश आ रहा है, terrible thunder and storm, तो ये ऊंचे ऊंचे बिग बिग ट्रीज क्या होता है, uprooted हो जाता है, गिर जाता है, they sway and turn and fall. But what does the grass do? The grass bows down like this. It doesn't break, it doesn't get uprooted. और जब बारिश खत्म हो जाता है फिर ऐसे हो जाता है. So he told me very interestingly, तो मन को ऐसे आपको बनाना है कि इतना ही काबिल हो कि उनको समझ में आना चाहिए कि कब मुझे बाउ डाउन करना है, and to let the storm pass. उसके बाद again to stand strong, to pull myself up and stand strong again. तो इसके लिए we have to go through storms. So the emotional quotient जो हम कहते हैं, उसको कैसे, उनका बुनियादी कैसे हम मजबूत करें. We'll have to travel the path of the emotions, and that is one of the reasons long-term journey में we will find that our mothers are emotionally more stronger than possibly our fathers. It's very interesting phenomenon. Now, we might think that if somebody comes first in life and in everything and does everything very well, तो उनका मन बहुत मजबूत होगा, शक्त होगा. It is not always like that, actually. मन तो तब मजबूत होते हैं जब I have experienced failure, but I have not lost my goal. I have not lost my passion. वो थोड़ी देर के लिए मैं ग्रास हो गई थी और फिर again I'm ready because the sun is out. I'm ready to bloom. Now that is very important in life, to experience failure of every kind. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप जानबूझ के बोलेंगे आ जाइए failure, please come into my life. But ये भी नहीं हो सकता है कि किसी के जिंदगी में failure नहीं आता है. हर किस्म की आता है. You have to go through it. And वो period में शायद लगेगा कि जिंदगी का कोई I cannot do this. मकसद बदल गया. थोड़ी देर के लिए शायद लगेगा. But don't let that eat you up, my friend. Go back to your goal. The strength of a character is not winning, but in keeping on going back and back and back till I go and reach what has been my goal. I have to repeatedly pick up myself from the dust and keep going back to it. That is the strength of character. That is the emotional strength. You can see 12th fail. वो 12th time fail किया था. In 12th, I think class 12 or something like that. Eternally fail करता था. He did not give it up. Well, we learn a lot. कहते हैं ना कि we look at America, we look at all the big countries of the world to learn from them. तो ये एक बहुत interesting story है of the Ford car, Ford, Ford car. Apparently, 17 times he failed in his business. I may be mistaken in the number of times, but 17 से कम और थोड़ी ज़्यादा भी हो सकती है. But the fact is that he failed n number of times. और उनके दोस्त उनको देखने से भाग जाते थे because वो पैसा मांगते थे कि मुझे फिर से करना है. और दोस्त लोगों को पता है कि तो फिर से वो गलती कुछ करेगा और he will fail again. But today Ford car is still one of the most uh, I think very, very big names in the car industry, in the motor vehicle industry. And that has been possible because he did not give up his dream. I think that is the strength. And that is the emotional quotient, that you don't give up. Failure zindagi mein in various ways zindagi mein aayega. Because every time I expect something और वो expectation नहीं meet कर रहा है, दुनिया अगर expectation नहीं meet कर रहा है और जो I am getting in life it's not meeting my expectation, yes, I might feel I've lost something. I might feel momentarily it's a matter of a failure. but let it pass. And then I go back to it. And that is the strength of character, that I will keep getting back, keep getting back, keep getting back till I get where I have to get. Sorry, said a lot. Next, if you have anything to ask. I'm not sure if I have been able to answer, respond to what you wanted to ask, but this was my thought. Please feel free to ask.
No, ma'am, we are truly thankful for your golden words. Uh,
I can't hear. I can't hear. सुनाई नहीं दे रही है. आप शायद म्यूटेड हो.
no, ma'am, just some technical difficulties.
Okay,
It will
no
be
problem.
dealt with.
Sure, sure.
Good evening, ma'am. There just a technical lag. I would like to begin with my question. So my questions are almost related to academics and section. Like many aspirants are taking subjects when it comes to making effective day schedule plan.
One,
Yes,
one, 1 minute. 1 minute. आप थोड़ी धीरे से बोलेंगे because sound
ma'am.
overlap हो रहा है. Okay.
So now my question to you is, many aspirants, I have observed that many aspirants are totally perfect when it comes to make an effective day schedule. And it's obviously that बहुत तरीके से कुछ अपने रेगुलर टास्क करते हैं, खाना खाना,
Sorry,
food exercises.
ऋषिकेश, समझ में नहीं आ रहे. और थोड़ा सा धीरे से बोलिए.
Many aspirants are totally perfect when it comes to make an effective day schedule. And many of times I have myself also seen that many of them skip off their regular tasks just for the sake of following the so-called busy timetable. And so my question to you is, how should an aspirant an effective day plan epicenter the main agenda that the exam he want to clear? Also, not cutting off the daily tasks and making a stability in life when it comes to mental and physical aspects.
ऋषिकेश, सॉरी, मैं पूरी तरह से समझ नहीं पाई आपकी क्वेश्चन. आप धीरे धीरे मुझे और एक बार प्लीज आपको क्वेश्चन बताएंगे.
मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि अ, हमने बहुत बार देखा है कि कई एस्पिरेंट जैसे एग्जाम पास आते रहते हैं, अपने रेगुलर जो टास्क होते हैं, अपनी स्पोर्ट एक्सरसाइजेज, अपने गेम जो खेलते हैं एक्स्ट्रा एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर और सारी एक्टिविटीज बंद कर देते हैं और दे जस्ट फोकस ऑन वन थिंग, कॉलिंग इट अ टाइम टेबल, एफिशिएंट टाइम टेबल, एफिशिएंट डे शेड्यूल. सो मैम उन एस्पिरेंट्स के लिए आप क्या कहेंगे कि बेस्ट टाइम टेबल क्या हो सकता है जो एट द सेंटर करे जो मेन एजेंडा है, द एग्जामिनेशन दे वांट टू क्लियर, प्लस मेकिंग द स्टेबिलिटी इंक्लूडिंग द टास्क they should be doing regularly.
आई एम स्टिल नॉट वेरी क्लियर. आपके पूरी तरह से मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया. इन बिटवीन ब्रेकिंग हुआ. बट आई एम ट्राइंग टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू whatever I have understood. I think it is important to prioritize आपका प्रायोरिटी क्या है, सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है टू qualify for this examination. That is the first priority. And is it coming like right now, or is it 6 months later? So time
It
wise,
is.
I have to see it's right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if it is right now, then my first, let's say, concentration, everything has to be focused on trying to get through with this examination because I want to be selected. So uske liye, when I'm creating my routine of the day, that has to be my first priority. कि ये एग्जामिनेशन में what are the subjects, what are the skills that I have to work on. जैसे I know that you have to work on your mathematical skill, you have to work on your general knowledge. So these need to be focused first because that is part of, that's वहां से आपको प्रश्न आएंगे in the examination. The next phase में divide करना है would be probably your next training of the interview related, but you're also entering into a discipline. आप ऐसी ही एक discipline में अपने आपको नियोग करने जा रहे हैं जहां पे आपका लाइफस्टाइल ही सिविलियन से बहुत अलग है और वो कॉन्शियसली अलग बनानी है. तो कितने बजे आप मॉर्निंग में उठेंगे और फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज हैव टू बी पार्ट ऑफ योर लाइफ कल्चर. Civil people do not see physical activity in that way because they see it as fitness, they see it as an extra added quality. उसको जब टाइम मिलता है तब करते हैं. But for you, this is a everyday charcha. So you'll have to create a lifestyle. Here, I think you can take, if you get the help of either your trainers, teachers, or people who have been in the army, who have gone through this before, your seniors, बात कीजिए उनसे. और उसी नजरिया से आपका रूटीन, आपका डेली एक्टिविटीज को मार्क कीजिए, टाइम कीजिए. यू क्रिएट योर शेड्यूल अकॉर्डिंग टू इट. और ये जब आप शेड्यूल बनाएंगे ना, तो वंस अगेन डोंट डू अ कंपैरिजन कि वो यू नो इट्स टेकिंग 2 आवर्स ले रहे हैं मैथमेटिक्स के लिए और मैं 4 आवर्स ले रही हूँ मैथ. ऐसे करने से नहीं होगा. आपको देखना है कि मेरा रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. बिकॉज जब जब ही हम लोग कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस करते हैं हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस निकल जाता है. सी यू आर ऑन जैसे कहते हैं ना, यू आर ऑन द शूटिंग स्पॉट. you are right now ready to jump into this exam. तो अभी आपका वो वक्त नहीं है टू असेस कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस. वो टाइम निकल गया. अभी आपको सिर्फ अपने ऊपर कंसंट्रेट करना है. So you'll have to look at, okay, so I need 2 hours. He may need half an hour. He's a genius. मुझे देखना नहीं है. मेरी जरूरत है ये. और जितना आप आपके काम पे नियोग होगे, उसको चर्चा में रहोगे, आपका कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड होगा. दैट कॉन्फिडेंस विल हेल्प यू टू हैंडल द पेपर ड्यूरिंग द एग्जामिनेशन इंक्लूडिंग इंटरव्यू. बिकॉज एग्जामिनेशन में काफी दिखाई जाता है, हमारे एक्सपीरियंस से मैं कहती हूँ कि प्रेपरेशन बहुत बढ़िया था पर एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में कर नहीं पाए. कंफ्यूजन आ गया, टायर्ड हो गए, रेस्टलेस हो गए. इसीलिए इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ताकि हम टायर्ड ना हो. आई हैव टू हैव रेगुलर स्लीपिंग आवर्स. रेस्टलेस ना हो, दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव टू हैव रेगुलर लेजर आवर्स. Leisure hours cannot be more than your working hours. This is a fundamental concept. But Working hours is your preparation time, right? So your working hours have to be more. Leisure hours उनको बैकअप करने के लिए है, बैलेंस करने के लिए है, ताकि आप रेस्टलेस ना हो जाओ in the examination time or in the interview time, because you'll have to keep on waiting, और एंजाइटी लेके वेट करना है. और एंजाइटी, ये मत सोचिए कि आपको नहीं होगा. एंजाइटी का कुछ पॉजिटिव फैक्टर्स भी है. वंस अगेन, ये मैं काफी I'm a little old, so I watch a lot of these film stars. I'm sorry, आपको ऐसा करना नहीं चाहिए, पर if you have a certain perspective or target in mind, तब तो अच्छा है. तो एक इंटरव्यू में देख रही थी शबाना आजमी जी की, और उन्होंने वहां पे बताया कि अभी भी शी इज अ वेटरन एक्टर और इतना उम्र हो गई है, बट वो कह रही थी इंटरव्यू में कि जब भी कर्टन ऊपर उठता है, सोच लीजिए वो कोई थिएटर कर रहा है कि कहीं पे कुछ परफॉर्मेंस हो रहा है, तो जब कर्टन उठता है तो एक नर्वसनेस आता है. अभी भी होता है, स्टमक, बटरफ्लाइज इन द स्टमक. तो वो जरूरी है थोड़ी सी, नहीं तो I will not be able to understand the speciality of the occasion, and वो speciality of the occasion के लिए तो मैं खुद से demand करूंगी, and then my performance will be up to the mark because I'm demanding that from myself. Otherwise I am a regular person. But उतना ही anxiety, उससे ज्यादा अगर हो जाएगा तो I will not be able to perform, right? So it is very important that I work on myself. Comparative analysis का time होता है. This time is not for comparative analysis. This time is to focus on yourself and my target. सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, muted
Yes,
दिखाता
ma'am.
है.
Or am I audible? Yes, ma'am. So the first point that is we have to prioritize what is important for the right now thing that we have to do. And second is what character analysis, self-analysis is more important.
थोड़ा reflection करनी है end of the day, but
Yes.
इतना reflection में क्या कहते हैं, immerse मत हो जाइए कि action बंद हो जाए. You have to act, my friend. You have to study, you have to solve your equations, you have to hold the anxiety. तो थोड़ा बहुत एनालिसिस की जरूरत है, बट इतना नहीं कि आई लूज माई सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस और इतना सोचते ही रह जाए. एक्शन हैज टू बी, सोच हैज टू बी complementing my action. I think so that my action is better. I analyze so that my action is better. There's a reason why I do it.
That vegetable. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, the next
Thank you, ma'am.
question is from my side.
Okay,
Am I audible, ma'am?
absolutely. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. The next question is from my side. It is about self introspection, as you have talked about it earlier. You say that knowing how our strengths and our weaknesses work upon our mind, we should be aware possibly about in what field are we the best, and in what fields do we need to work. So, my sincere question to you will be: how should we, as students, should practice self-introspection so that it helps us and does not really demotivate us in a way that we cannot we lose the wish to work further upon the same goal. That's all from my side, ma'am.
Okay, I'll try to respond to you on the question in terms of, as you very rightly said, what is my strength and what is my weakness. It is very important कि ये दोनों के बारे में, मेरी खुद के बारे में, मेरी कौन सा स्ट्रेंथ है, मेरी कौन सा वीकनेस है, ये जानकारी अपने आप के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. And it has to be a very honest submission. It cannot be because I defensively I'm looking at myself कि मुझे सोच लीजिए मुझे फिजिकल एक्सरसाइजेस अच्छा नहीं लगता है, ठीक है, then I have to tell myself, yes, I do not like physical exercises, or I don't like physical activities, or I don't like playing. ये तो पहली मुझे I have to say that yes, this is something that I don't like, and this that I don't like about a cultivating a physical culture uh, can have issues in the fact I'm applying for the defense academy, because here the body and the mind works together. Okay, so the body has to be in a culture of preparing itself, so there is a very strong physical culture. Agar ye I can identify, so two things. One is that I can tell myself this, because मेरा ये aptitude नहीं है, मेरी जी नहीं करता है, and I don't like it, that I don't enter into this rather than face a failure. In the sense that I don't want, और अगर मुझे करना पड़ेगा तो I will be not enjoying it, because ये आपकी जिंदगी है, ये मतलब not a period of 5 years or 3 years, यही आपकी जिंदगी होगी. So one option is that. The other option is that I want to do this so much that अगर मुझे ये कमी भी हो, I work on it. और स्ट्रेंथ जानने की जरूरत क्यों है? स्ट्रेंथ फॉर एग्जांपल सोच लीजिए कि यू आर वेरी गुड विथ मैथमेटिक्स, और यू आर वेरी गुड विथ लेट्स से पीपल, और यू आर वेरी गुड विथ लेट्स से इंग्लिश. तो ये क्यों जरूरी है आपको जानने की? बिकॉज एक, हाउ डू आई मेक माई स्ट्रेंथ स्ट्रोंगर, हाउ डू आई मेक इट मोर रिफाइंड, बट ऑल्सो एट द सेम टाइम माई फ्रेंड, स्ट्रेंथ जानने की जरूरत है ताकि मैं हम्बल हो सकती हूँ मेरी स्ट्रेंथ को लेके. दैट डजंट बिकम माई आर्मर ऑफ प्राइड, तो तकलीफ हो जाएगा. If that becomes my my ego boosting, then it will become a little difficult to travel long. I must know my strength in order to understand also कि all strength is not about कि हम I'm God Almighty. I have constraint in spite of being having qualities of strength, these kind of qualities of strength. Or strength also gives me the capacity. At the end of the day, we are all human beings, and a good human being is the most essential work of every profession, of life itself. So when I have identified कि मेरी ये strength है, मेरी ये quality है, I may have the generosity to even share my strength with someone. तो अगर मैं mathematics में थोड़ा strength, I am strong in that, I can help my friend a little bit with my mathematics. उसमें मेरी कोई कम हो नहीं जाता. And I work more on it to build it more. So it makes me a qualitatively a different kind of person. These are जो आप कह सकते हैं the salient features that we need to work on. A quality of a human being may not be what is required in a skill requirement. This is not a skill requirement in your examination of NDA, but it is a most desirable, beautiful quality at the end of the day for every human life. And that is the bonus, I would say. And then, does that answer to the extent to what you were trying to get?
Yes, ma'am. I'm very thankful for your answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And the next question would be from my side. I'm clearly audible. First, I would like to.
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Ma'am, we have observed that even after many aspects, even after putting pure hard work to memorize the subject, fail to recall it when there is the most need of it.
You were
And
breaking again, Rishikesh, you're breaking, so I could not understand.
I'll try to speak more slowly, so that it is more amiable for us. Yes. So ma'am, my question goes like that. We have observed that many aspects, even after putting pure hard work to memorize the topic, fail to recall it. They are not in a continuous repetition of it. Most of the subjects just only require pure memorizing abilities, and other require pure focus and extra practice. This is all, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Rishikesh, I'm not getting it at all. Do you think you can type the question? Then respond. Would you be able to type the question here
Ma'am,
in the chat
can
box?
I get a minute?
Until then, ma'am, may you please entertain my question?
Okay.
All right. So the next question that I'd like to ask you revolves around something crucial for the recruitment of the defense forces. Aspirants for the National Defense Academy or Naval Academy go through a 5-day course of mental, physical activities as well as a plethora of interviews, which are overall monitored by psychologists. So basically, many people who get through the written exam, people meaning aspirants, don't get through the SSB. So this poses questions on the preparatory phase. Conceiving the realms beyond the theoretical markups, ma'am, if you had to suggest the suitability of the preparation, how would you propose to, balance it off? That would be all from my side.
Can you once more just give me the question, the end part, the question, please?
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, if you had to suggest the availability of preparation, how would you prepare to balance it off?
Uh, well, I think we talked about it in previously, that how do I, find a balance, or how do I prepare myself? Um, Here I would suggest um to develop a certain kind of sportsman spirit in this. It can be helpful. Like we go, 11 wickets, so one down, two more to go. So that gives a certain kind of, okay, I'm getting closer to the goal and I'm finishing each and every hurdle. Um, but certain things cannot be ignored, Dhawal. जब आप एक के बाद एक इंटरव्यू दे रहे हैं और आपके असेसमेंट चल रहे हैं, and you have senior, let's say, senior officers and majors and people, professionals from the army and other disciplines questioning you, taking an interview. Of course, you will feel, uh, I would say, elements of nervousness, of being taken aback, anxiety. We cannot ignore that, but that cannot take over me. So, कहते हैं ना कि कभी कभी अगर आप if you have to walk through the woods, आपको डर लगता है जंगल से गुजरने में, तो sometimes you have nothing to do but to walk through it. वो डर लेके ही आपको जाना है. So that is something that you'll have to accept. This is about sportsman spirit. कि I am choosing, मैं खुद choose की हूँ कि I will go for this kind of a process. I want to enter the National Defense Academy. और ये तो इतना आसानी से नहीं हो सकता है, ये नेशनल इंडिया की बात है. तो I will have to go through it. तो उसमें थोड़ा बहुत डर लगेगा, थोड़ा बहुत इंटिमेशन होगा. वो तो असेस करेंगे कि आप इंटिमेशन में कैसे पेश आते हैं. कि अगर आप, it's very interesting, maybe your trainers can help you, or even if you get a chance to attend these kind of workshops, or even पढ़ सकते हैं आप कि कैसे कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर्स में काफी ऐसे कराते हैं कि सिचुएशन में, एक सिचुएशन में आपको डाल देते हैं कि कैसे आप रिएक्ट करते हो, कि वहां पे आपको गुस्सा आता है या रोना आ जाता है, या कैसे आप ऑल्टरनेटिव पाथवे ढूंढते हो टू वर्क इट आउट इन अ कंस्ट्रक्टिव वे. So to be able to understand that, you cannot run away from it, but you'll have to go through it. तो जिंदगी को अपनाना है. मैं जिंदगी से बाहर रहूंगी और खुद को सिर्फ इसके लिए प्रिपेयर करूंगी, तो ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. This is something that I personally strongly believe. So hurdles of life जो है, तो सोच लीजिए अगर घर में प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, कोई भी ऐसा फैमिली नहीं है जहां पे घर में प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं होते. हर किस्म की प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं. और हमें लगता है कि अगर मेरा घर ऐसा ना होता, सब कुछ परफेक्ट होता, तो आई कुड हैव डन दिस. शायद शायद ये सही है, पर ये सोच के तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. मुझे तो यहीं पे रहना है, यही लेके आगे बढ़ना है. तो वो माइंडसेट करना है कि मुझे यही लेके आगे बढ़ना है. इसको मैं कैसे मेरी एसेट बनाऊं. And that is where your emotional quotient can develop. Your capacity to handle all kinds of disruption, and yet not to lose my focus, yet not to lose my passion, my skill. वो एकदम full target लेके मैं आगे बढ़ती जाऊं, in spite of so much of distraction, so much of obstacles. तो आपका तो वैसे ही प्लेटफॉर्म बन चुकी है. That should be your strength. That's your asset, and not your obstacle. हम गलत सोचते हैं. हम सोचते हैं अगर सब कुछ ठीक ठाक होता तो शायद मेरी जिंदगी अलग सा होता. तो वो तो हाथ में नहीं है जी. शायद हो सकता है, आई डोंट हैव द आंसर, पर जो हाथ में है वो तो दिखता है कि यही मेरा रियलिटी है. तो ये रियलिटी को मैं कैसे अपनाऊं, और ये रियलिटी को कैसे मेरी स्ट्रेंथ बनाऊं. कोई भी स्ट्रेंथ डज नॉट गेट वेस्टेड. Emotional strength, physical strength, intellectual strength, none of that gets wasted. This is my understanding in entering your uh, entrance examination, or even in life as such. I wish we had more occasion where the civil society could embrace more with the army spirit. There's so much to learn both ways.
Thank you, ma'am, for your golden words. We are truly enlightened, and let's hopefully entertain Rishikesh sir's next question.
Thank you, Dhawan.
Ma'am, I will be putting forward the next question. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sorry,
It's better.
sorry for the technical issue, ma'am. Really sorry. I'm back with the full spirit. So, ma'am, my technical first question to you would be that uh, we have observed that now, even after putting pure hard work in subject, students fail to memorize the subjects. Like I have put my whole efforts, painstaking approach in recalling a subject, but I fail to recall it when it's the most need of it. If I'm not in a continuous practice of it. So, ma'am, my question to you would be that some subjects are like which require only pure memorizing ability, and other require pure focus and practice when it's come to the topic or subjects. So, standing there, what would be your subject preparatory strategies, epicentering the subject that require pure focus and memorizing, and then one which require pure practice and hard work.
Uh, let's say it in two ways, okay? Um, First is that memorizing to some extent is also a skill that we learn, that we can develop. But to be able to work on that skill, एक basic foundation होना चाहिए, which is the brain's capacity. हर इंसान की brain की capacity एक नहीं होता है, it differs. किसी का memorizing capacity, let's say between 1 and 10 can be 2. Foundation किसी का हो सकता है 10, किसी का हो सकता है minus. So this is something we are born with. This is a brain structure, but it is possible to work on it to a major extent. That is one in terms of memorization as a skill development. और उसके लिए आपका हम जब छोटे थे, we used to have all kinds of games, memorizing games. I can't teach you that now, but yes, you can play those kind of games. You can even when we were younger, the teaching method was very different. You had to memorize long poems, you had to memorize timetable. तो अभी पता नहीं है, अभी डिजिटल एज है, हम लोग we don't even try to remember. Even in my younger days we had to remember telephone numbers. तो अभी कोई टेलीफोन नंबर याद रखने की कोशिश भी हम नहीं करते, बिकॉज मोबाइल में सब कुछ है, तो सब डेटा है. तो the culture of let's say the cultivation, the skill of memorization, memory building, is not so much there in our daily growing up or even in the education system, but you can work on it. As I said, the education system, yes, one way is to develop that. You do recitation, you do times table, you play games of memory. One is that. The other bit, in terms of how do I remember, another way, a very different approach, can be contextualizing a certain, I would say, incident ho sakta hai, person ho sakta hai, you learn something, उनको contextualize करना है. मतलब मैं आपको कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि बहुत फंडामेंटल एक एग्जांपल देने की. how टीचिंग हैज चेंज्ड. जैसे पहले जब हम लोग पढ़ाई करते तो हम लोगों को क्या सिखाया जाता? ए फॉर एप्पल. ठीक है, तो ये एप्पल क्या चीज होता है बहुत बाद में समझ में आया. मतलब वो दिखने में क्या होता है वगैरह वगैरह. बट अभी जब सिखाते हैं कोई, तो ए फॉर एप्पल, वो तो पिक्चर सामने आता है, कभी कभी हाथ में एप्पल होता है, कभी कभी वो खाते खाते पढ़ते हैं, तो उनका एसोसिएशन एप्पल के साथ ऐसा बन जाता है, वो कभी भूलते ही नहीं है ए फॉर एप्पल होता है. वो ए फॉर एंट कभी नहीं बोलेंगे, क्योंकि उनका एसोसिएशन बन जाता है. तो ये एक टीचिंग का तरीका होता है. तो आप जब कभी कभी पढ़ाई करोगे, तो आप ऐसे अपना खुद का एसोसिएशन बिल्ड कर सकते हो. सोच लीजिए कि आपको ऐसे एक डेट को याद रखना है. पता नहीं, 1982 आपको याद रखना है. तो 1982 में शायद बहुत कुछ हुआ था, पता नहीं, आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग अप अ डेट, पर मुझे याद ही नहीं रहता है. तो हाउ कैन आई क्रिएट माय पर्सनल एसोसिएशन ऑफ 1982 with what happened in 1982? तो शायद ऐसी तरीके से जब हम सोचेंगे कि कुछ चीज याद रखने की कोशिश करेंगे, जिसको हम टेक्निकली कहते हैं कि कॉन्टेक्चुअलाइज करेंगे, तब शायद वो थोड़ा बहुत हमारा ये मेथोडोलॉजी काम कर सकते हैं टू इन ऑर्डर टू रिमेम्बर memory. But definitely, as I was telling you a while back, that we can work on our building our memory. But memory building भी consciously करना है. One, 2 to the 4, 2 3 the 6, 2 4 the 8, ऐसे करने से नहीं होगा. सिर्फ ऐसा पैरेट जैसा बोलने से नहीं होगा. हमको ये 2+2 करने से जो 4 होता है, उसको समझना है. समझ के फिर याद रखना है, then it stays with us. How does it work? Why is 4 to the 8? How else can be it be 8? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 8. So very basic level से आपको कह रही हूँ, but uh, these are not possible for me to say like this in this kind of a platform. This needs a different kind of teaching, a different kind of training methodology. मैं थोड़ी बहुत जो colleges में पढ़ा चुकी हूँ, I tried using these kind of ways to teach my students, and the little that I understand, I may not be having all the answers, but this has worked for me to some extent. I think that can be helpful for you as well.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
are you referring to the Pavlov's experiment on the spread dog of logical conditioning?
Am I referring to
Pavlov's experiment of logical conditioning on his pet dog.
Pavlov's conditioning? Uh, Not directly, but you can draw upon it. Thank you for drawing that. Not directly, but yes, if you wish, up the root, you can draw a connection. But memorizing something जो हम relate नहीं कर पाते, तो हम भूल जाएंगे. वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट निकल जाएगा तो भूल जाएंगे. उसको कॉन्टेक्चुअलाइज करके मेमोराइज करना है तो वो जिंदगी भर याद रहेगा. So you'll have to find your own context of remembering it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, ma'am. The next question that will be entertaining would be from my side. So it goes like this. The true trigger of anxiety for many lies in the tenure of the post-exam period. When students come together after the exam hall, discuss the questions, ये right हुआ, ये मेरा गलत हुआ, then a situation, an anxious situation comes to place. Students exhibit a fear of, you can say, not hitting the nail on the head, right? So, ma'am, what's the subjective solution to eliminate the fear of self-doubt?
Okay. First thing जो मैं मेरी स्टूडेंट्स को भी जिंदगी भर कह के आई हूँ is that जब आपका एग्जाम चल रहा है, सोच लीजिए आज आपका ज्योग्राफी है, कल आपका जीके है, परसों आपका हिस्ट्री है. I don't know how it is done, but मैं just एक आपको एग्जाम्पल दे रही हूँ. तो जब आपका एग्जाम ये बीच का जो पीरियड चल रहा है, कभी never ever compare your answers with anyone. एग्जामिनेशन हो गया है, आपने जो जवाब लिखे हैं क्वेश्चन पेपर में वो फोल्ड करके रख दीजिए. Prepare for the next one. Please listen to this. Because what happens, एक तो है कि अगर आप देखेंगे कि X person has written better और सही और मेरा गलत निकल आया तो demoralization हो जाएगा. My entire confidence will be shaken, and that will disturb me to prepare for my next paper, and even to deliver for my next paper. जितना भी मन करे, जितना भी दोस्त आपको बुला के पूछे या बताए, इसमें मत जाइए. ये इंटरम पीरियड में किसी को एंट्री मत दीजिए. आपका पेपर हो गया, फोल्ड करके रख दीजिए. आपने सबमिट कर दिए, वो आपके हाथ में और नहीं है. Prepare for the next paper. If you at all want to assess it after all the papers. बिल्कुल
Thank you,
assess
ma'am.
कीजिए.
Yeah, it's very true. So, again, a follow-up question to that. When luck does not play in our favor, depression, lack of self-confidence, self-doubt slowly but surely creeps inside the mind of a student. Moreover, many get defensive, and due to their ego, they go into denial, right? So, to get out of this state, what are the steps to handle the later disappointment that comes?
This is a very important question, Dhaval. Thank you for asking this. पहले आपको जब हम लोग बात कर रहे थे, a little earlier I talked about how failure is very important in life. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि मैं कहूँ कि आओ फेलियर मेरी जिंदगी में आ जाओ. नो, नॉट एट ऑल. बट जिंदगी में फेलियर नहीं आएगा ये तो नहीं होगा. But how do I take that failure? As Dhaval very rightly said, is that depression आ जाता है, मन में दुख जरूर होगा. आपने कुछ, you had some dreams, आपने अपने बारे में, अपने जिंदगी के बारे में कुछ सोचे हैं. That dream will get disturbed for a short period, temporarily. तो मन में दुख होगा. But let us understand, I have to create another dream. I cannot keep on thinking कि ये खत्म हो गया तो सब खत्म हो गया. आपके पास आपकी पूरी जिंदगी आगे बढ़ना है. आपका पूरा लाइफ पड़ा हुआ है. So I have to rework on myself. So I have to take care of um, a certain disappointment to some extent. जो आएगा, let it pass. It will affect. Let it pass. Give it time for it to pass. And then start rebuilding on yourself. As I said, the sportsman spirit is very important when you're entering in this kind of a discipline. You see how आप फुटबॉल अगर खेलते हैं या फुटबॉल देखते हैं तो आप देखिए कि गोल खा गए हैं, but you have to still fight. You're ending at the end almost. Till the last dot, you have to still fight. You have to still try. और जी जान लगा के करना है. But you'll have to be patient with yourself कि थोड़ी देर के लिए, yes, I will feel disheartened. I have to let it pass. I have to allow it to pass. Failure is part and parcel of life. I have to learn to build a relationship with failure as much as a relationship with success. Success के साथ relationship बनाना आसान होता है because हम सब success को aspire करते हैं, चाहते हैं. फेलियर को aspire करने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो खुद ही आता है जिंदगी में, हर ढंग में आते हैं. तो we have to create a relationship कि हम कैसे फेलियर को डील करते हैं. How constructively can we do it? And this also means a certain awareness of myself. जैसे we were talking earlier, how to cultivate a certain, I would say, calmness about myself. बहुत सारी चीज है जो is not in my hands. The only thing which is in my hands in this examination is that I give my full percent in this effort. My sincerest effort इसमें मैं डालती हूँ. यही मेरे हाथ में है, बाकी मेरे हाथ में नहीं है. तो वो मन में जगह रखना है कि जो मेरे हाथ में नहीं है, तो I cannot decide on that, right? I can pray and I can hope कि मैं मेरी तरफ से फुल कोशिश की हूँ, my sincerest effort and my I would say self is invested. इससे ज्यादा मैं कर नहीं सकती थी. मेरे my conscience is clear that I have given my everything possible. बाकी जो है मुझे जो आएगा अपनाना है. Let's hope since I have been sincere तो वो fairly आएगा, उसका result fair होगा. But it's also a possibility नहीं fair होगा. You have to see the larger scheme of life, my friends. A lot of the times what life is like this. Some of us have grown, have been born in families with no cars, only bicycles. Some of us are born in families with scooters and cars. Some of us have been born in a lot of wealth. Some of us have been born in very, very humble families. That may not be always fair. That cannot be always fair. जिंदगी में बहुत अनफेयर चीज भी होते हैं जो हमारे हाथ में नहीं है. हाँ अनफेयर है पर हाथ में नहीं है. तो उसको I have to accept and fight through it. That's the fighting spirit I'm talking about. जो एक तरफ resist करता है, resist the evil, the unfair, दूसरी तरफ एक ही साथ simultaneously construct करते हैं, protect करता है, build करता है, the good, the right. So this is a mindset we have to create. और वो एक दिन में नहीं होता है, उसको consciously build करना है. So
Thank you,
this is
ma'am, for
my
your words have ignited a fire of determination inside many, and definitely myself. And let's continue with the questions.
Ma'am, can I go forward with my next question? My next question is about burnouts and how to handle them. So, as we know this,
sorry. Can you come once more, please?
yes, ma'am. My next question is about burnouts and how to handle when we experience one. So, as we all acknowledge the fact that examinations are quite a tear to all of us, these are the times that we get a chance to express our potential, showcase our talents and skills. So, in these times, we can overwork ourselves. Burning the candle on both ends does not really help on a long run. So, my question to you is about how to avoid getting into burnouts after very stressful periods, and if so, if ever we happen to get into one, I would like to ask you how to manage that and try not getting into another.
Um, what I could gather from your question is that you wanting to know what happens when we burn out, right?
Yes, ma'am, and how to work upon that.
Okay, okay. Firstly, I think you are on the advantageous side because आपकी उम्र ही ऐसा है कि बर्नआउट में बहुत टाइम लगेगा. मैं अभी बर्नड आउट हो चुकी हूँ और शायद नेक्स्ट जो भी करना है आपसे बहुत पहले ही बर्न आउट हो जाऊंगी. पर आपकी उम्र ही ऐसी है कि आपको बर्नआउट में अभी बहुत टाइम लगेगा. इसीलिए जाने अनजाने में हम बहुत स्ट्रेस ले लेते हैं, एक साथ 10 थिंग्स कर लेते हैं, सोचते हैं कि हाँ हो जाएगा, कर पाएंगे. तो इसमें कोई बुरी बात नहीं है. अगर आप कर पा रहे हैं आपके उम्र के कारण, आपका वो कैपेसिटी है, स्टैमिना है, वंडरफुल, यू मस्ट डू इट. बट वी मस्ट आल्सो रिमेंबर लॉन्जिविटी इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. तो उसको सस्टेन करने के लिए आपको डिसिप्लिन डिसिप्लिन के साथ काम करना इज वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट. सो फॉर वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग टर्म अगर आप बहुत स्ट्रेस में हैं तो वो शायद थोड़ा तकलीफ हो सकता है. Okay, so that is one of the reasons you have to, जैसे I was telling you, when you are preparing yourself examination के लिए जब prepare करते हैं तो पुराने जमाने में हमें कहते थे कि ये 12 घंटा 14 घंटा पढ़ाई कर लो, मन लगा के पढ़ाई कर लो. तो अभी के जमाने में सोच थोड़ा अलग है कि आप पढ़ाई करो, बिल्कुल पढ़ाई करो, जी जान लगा के पढ़ाई करो, काम करो, अपने आप को प्रिपेयर करो. पर जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि बीच में आपको वो भी शेड्यूल करना है कि हाउ कैन आई क्रिएट आवर्स, लेजर आवर्स, रिलैक्सिंग आवर्स, जहाँ पे मैं शायद थोड़ी हल्की सी पेरेंट्स से बात करूँ, थोड़ा टीवी देख लूँ, फ्रेंड से थोड़ा बात कर लूँ, चैट कर लूँ, etc. So how do I find थोड़ा म्यूजिक सुन लूं, तो how do I find moments of relaxation? तो ऐसे बैलेंस करेंगे तो longevity मतलब how long I can perform वो बढ़ जाता है। और नहीं तो जैसे कि थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने आपको कह रही थी कि कभी कभी दिखाई गया कि आपका प्रेपरेशन बहुत अच्छा है, पर एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में जाके इधर आप भूल गए हैं या रेस्टलेस हो गए हैं या इतना डर लग गया कि कुछ नहीं कर पाए, ये आपका प्रेपरेशन इतना बढ़िया था। तो इसीलिए प्रेपरेशन जब कर रहे थे इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप अपने आप को ब्रीदिंग टाइम दो, बैलेंस करो विथ लेजर आवर्स। But as I said, leisure hours or relaxing hours cannot be more than your working hours. Leisure hours दे रहे हैं ताकि working hours को enhance कर सके, working productivity को enhance कर सके, वो मन में रखना है। So this is way how I would say that you can work on your longevity and protect yourselves from burning out.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really helpful.
Definitely, one point I would like to add to your generation, मेरी जो experience है younger generation student community के साथ, कि उनका अभी माहौल ही ऐसा है कि वो पूरा ऑनलाइन रहता है रात भर तक और सवेरे 5 बजे सोने जाता है और 7 बजे उठ के काम पे निकल जाता है या जो भी हो करता है, और नहीं तो दोपहर 2 बजे उठते हैं। तो इसमें थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होगा when we are talking about longevity and maintaining your standard of performance. So you'll have to have a proper balanced backup कि especially मैं ये इसके ऊपर इतना emphasis कर रही हूँ because आप ऐसा ही एक discipline चुन रहे हैं जहाँ पे आपका आपके ऊपर बहुत strong demands आएगा। You're committing yourself for national defense. Please understand the tremendous responsible position that you are um equipping yourself to, you're preparing yourself to. ये, as I said, मैं पहली जब बात शुरू की कि ये एक बहुत important निर्णय है आपकी तरफ से। ये समझना है आपको कि this is not something जो आम आदमी कर पाते हैं। Not all of us civilians can do this because it demands such an giving up of the self to the service of the country, and it calls for special training, a special mindset, and that's why you'll have to see that how you can stop the burning out, and that's why even if you look at you know, much of little that I know, policy changes of how troops work in armies and all of that, they have more of circulation at this point than it used to be in 20 years back. Um, because you have to look at the longevity of the person in the service of the army, in the service of the country, as well as after that.
Ma'am, I want to proceed with my next question. Can I?
Sure, sure.
Ma'am, I'm sure that the audience present with us here today and the one later viewing it would surely agree with the fact that we are always told to concentrate on whatever we are doing. If we are preparing for the examination, learning something new, or just revising a topic, we have always been asked to concentrate. But very handful of them are really asked to or be told how to concentrate. So my question to you is, what is the magic of concentration and how to really concentrate?
Uh, Everything is a matter of cultivation, ऋषिकेश। इसमें कोई मैजिक नहीं है बेटा, इसमें आपको बहुत टाइम देना पड़ेगा। आप अगर आप कुछ पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, let's say you're studying mathematics, or let's say you're studying the map of the political map of India or the political map of the world, you have to give a lot of time. ध्यान से, शांत होके. तो एक तो उसमें कोई मैजिक ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं होता है, बस यही करना है. The other things, how do you cultivate that kind of patience? Because on one hand, it's very interesting, mind body complementary profession, the army, the defense. Because यहाँ पे sharpness of the mind, emotions, capacity to contain your emotions, and at the same time, आपका physically agile रहना, सारे के सारे एक साथ काम करता है. So meditation is very helpful. Yoga is very helpful, as much as running is helpful, as much as boxing is helpful, as much as mathematics is helpful. So, can you see what a dynamic range of skills and capacities आप में हम the discipline उम्मीद रखते हैं?
Yes.
So, and to build yourself up to that and to choose that, it is not everybody's cup of tea. And it calls for one step forward, two step back, one step forward, two step back, but never giving up. You'll have to be at it, at it, at it. That's the strength of character. That's the strength of emotion, of your EQ, or even the success, that I don't give up. Your fighting spirit, your acquiring your goals, everything. गिर हम सभी गिरेंगे, कभी ना कभी गिरेंगे, बार बार गिरेंगे, गलती भी होगा. But I keep learning, I pick up myself, I keep learning, and I try again. Because I can't give up. ये आपका vow है. It's the discipline. Not just the discipline, I believe this is the vow of life. You have to get back at life. Of course, it's not easy.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. It was very helpful.
No magic, nothing easy.
Yes.
And the most difficult part, I think it's easy for all of us to say all this. The most difficult part is you will have to apply it. कभी कभी हम सब जानते हैं, सभी को, I'm sure a lot of us know a lot many things, पर उसको apply करना is the challenge. Apply तो खुद को ही करना है.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Ma'am, this communication has been a lot more about academics and coping mechanisms. I would like to get a little away from the topic, but getting towards our SSB interviews, which has a major part of communication in it. So we see around us that communicating with seniors, juniors, elders, and our cousins, friends, colleagues is different in every way possible. We see that communication plays a major role in our day-to-day life. Nervousness before any kind of random conversations is a sign that cannot be neglected when we aspire to join a profession wherein we have to deal with people coming along with short or long-term interactions. So, ma'am, I think you are the best person on board to help us become better communicators in general. We would love to hear your advice on that.
Okay. Once again, बीच में वो ब्रेक हो गया था, पर the gist जो मेरी समझ में आई, I'm trying to respond to that on communication in the interview, right? So, जैसे मैंने पहले आपको बताई थी कि कम्युनिकेशन की फंडामेंटल जगह है कि मैं आप तक पहुंचूं मेरी वार्ता लेके. what I want to say reaches you. Now, how that reaches you really is not the matter. It really doesn't matter agar aapki English grammar is not up to the point. But what does matter is that aap up to the point hai to communicate with your humility, with your knowledge. That is important. It is not possible आप young person है, young इंसान है, you're not even 20 or whatever, आप कैसे सब कुछ आप जाने पाएंगे? Even, but whatever little you know, can you be sincere? Interview a few things. This is once again my understanding, and I used to tell my students that in an interview, मन में वो क्या कहते हैं engrave मत कीजिए that I have to impress the interviewer. ये आपका काम नहीं है, बिकॉज अगर आप इम्प्रेस करने जाओगे तो आप खुद को खो बैठोगे. जस्ट बी जेन्युइन. आप जो हो वही ह्यूमिलिटी के साथ पेश आओ. आपको बहुत कुछ सीखना है जिंदगी में, जब शुरुआत हो रही है, और ये सीखना खत्म नहीं होता. मुझे भी सीखना है. आपकी जैसे करेज मेरे में नहीं है, वो मुझे फंडामेंटली सीखना है. आपसे हिंदी सीखना है. बट डेफिनेटली व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट जो देखते हैं इंटरव्यू में कि आप अर्नेस्ट इंसान हो, ऑनेस्ट इंसान हो. अर्नेस्ट के हिंदी में कैसे बताऊं? EARNEST, मतलब जेन्युइन हो. और कुछ हो के इंप्रेस करने की कोशिश नहीं कर रहे हो. आप जो हो वही with grace, with dignity and with humility पेश आने की, उनको पेश करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो. बस उसमें आपका खुद का कॉन्फिडेंस होगा. बिलीव मी, डोंट ट्राई टू बी एनीबडी एल्स इन द इंटरव्यू. और वो इंटरव्यू के बाद भी प्रश्न करेंगे ना, आप वो निकल आएगा क्या पूछा आपने, क्या जवाब दे. डोंट फॉल इनटू ऑल दिस. पूरा जो कंपोजर है निकल जाएगा. वो 15 मिनट पहले कोई प्रेपरेशन नहीं होता है. प्रेपरेशन हो चुका है, उसका टाइम हो चुका है. अभी फेस करो, जो हो वही जाके फेस करना है. पूछो मत, देखो कि हाँ ही इज लुकिंग वेरी स्मार्ट, ही स्पीक्स ग्रेट इंग्लिश. कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. और आई एम नॉट सेइंग दिस टू मेक यू फील बेटर. बिलीव मी, आई बिलीव इन दिस. मैं विश्वास करती हूँ. और जो इंटरव्यू लेते हैं वो वही ढूंढते हैं, वो क्वालिटी ऑफ अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, जिसमें क्वालिटी ऑफ अ ह्यूमन बीइंग है और स्किल का थोड़ा अंदाजा है. स्किल डेवलप कर सकते हैं हम. ह्यूमन क्वालिटी डेवलप करना, फाउंडेशन नहीं होगा तो नहीं कर पाएंगे. एंड एज आई सेड, बी योरसेल्फ. उसमें जो कॉन्फिडेंस है ना, हाँ, विद ग्रेस, विद डिग्निटी एंड ह्यूमिलिटी. घर में जाके बैग यहाँ पे फेंक दिया और मम्मी को बताए कि मम्मी खाना क्या, ऐसा नहीं होगा. वो घर में भी थोड़ी थोड़ी दिन, ओवर टाइम इट चेंजेस, लाइफ चेंजेस. बट जो जितना भी घर में कर सकते हो वैसे नहीं. लुक एट अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ डिग्निटी, ह्यूमिलिटी एंड ऑल सिंसेरिटी. आप जो मैं हूं वही हूं. सिंसियरली कोशिश करूंगी अंग्रेजी में ठीक से बोलने की, हिंदी में ठीक से बोलने की. अगर आपके मातृभाषा हिंदी नहीं है तो बहुत तकलीफ होगा, पर वो देखते हैं आप सिंसियर हो या नहीं. अब डिफेंसिव हो, मैं हिंदी खराब लैंग्वेज है बिकॉज आई कैन स्पीक. अरे कोई भी लैंग्वेज बड़ा नहीं छोटा नहीं. इट्स अ कम्युनिकेशन मीडियम. I wish I could speak very good Hindi because most of you speak Hindi over here. Yes, there are certain official formalities, so you'll have to speak, etc., etc. Those are other matters. अगर आप एड वर्ल्ड में जा रहे हैं, एडवर्टाइजमेंट बनाने जा रहे हैं, वहां पे अंग्रेजी चाहिए, तब आपका स्किल देखेंगे, अंग्रेजी कैसे आप लिखते हैं, कैसे बोलते हैं। पर यहाँ पे आपका कोई एड वर्ल्ड में इंटरव्यू नहीं हो रहा है, बहुत फाउंडेशनल हो रहा है।
Unfortunately, ma'am, we have reached the end of our webinar. But I have one last question to ask. May I proceed?
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
basically, the last question revolves around the life of the student, that is co-curricular activities. Since even you participate in verse dance, which you do very magnificently, can you please say the importance of co-curricular activities and how should a student balance it with its academic pressures?
Uh, Co-curricular activities is very, very essential in life. Okay, you can be, but you have to see activity के लिए activity मत कीजिए। देखिए आपको क्या अच्छा लगता है। Okay, do you like cooking? Do you like playing? Do you like singing? Do you like dancing? Do you like painting? Do you like boxing? Develop that. Do you like talking to people? There's so much we learn from talking to people. Fundamental human communication. You'll have to see what is it, हम क्यों करते हैं extracurricular activities to enrich ourselves. जैसे आपको बता रहे थे कि जब आप प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं, प्रिपेयर करते करते पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, एक्सरसाइज कर रहे हैं, etc., etc., then you take a break and listen to music. What happens? It makes me feel, जैसे सोच लीजिए अगर किशोर कुमार की गाना आ जाता है, one of those old songs that generation after generation we all sing, चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना. Everybody starts singing. Everybody knows the song, generation after generation. तो क्या होता है, मन थोड़ा सा खुश हो जाता है. Emotionally I get a little happy. A different tone comes into my inner self, my inner metabolism, and that helps indirectly to get back to my path. तो ये बैलेंस करते हैं. एंड ऑल्सो इंटरेस्टिंग इंडिविजुअल बनाते हैं. अगर आप अच्छा बांसुरी बजाते हैं, it just becomes an interesting person. And that's also a medium of communication. All of it is a medium of communication. It tells us something about us. And whenever we tell something about ourselves, we are trying to reach someone. Of course, it is very important to cultivate extracurricular activities. As I said, not to tick off, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ, वो कर सकती हूँ, वो कोई जरूरत नहीं है. मन कैसे भरता है? Maybe I love eating. And then I have to develop a certain thing. Of course, I like eating. तो ये कैसे बनता है? कहाँ से आता है? And that takes me to it. हम अभी देखते हैं ना, बहुत सारे लोग फूड ब्लॉग्स लिखते हैं और हम बाहर से सोचते हैं कि क्या खुश मिजाज हैं इनके, बहुत सारे खाना खाते हैं, ये खाता है, वो खाता है. But you have to cultivate that. Everything possibly needs a certain level of cultivation, a certain quality of cultivation. मम्मी से जाके बात कीजिए कि उनका क्या मन बहलाता है किससे. शायद वो कहेंगे आपसे बात करके. Maybe that's something that we can see. That I feel happy, I feel enriched. मन भर जाता है जब मम्मी से बात करती हूँ. सिर्फ मम्मी से बात नहीं करती हूँ, जब देखती हूँ वो खुश होती है मेरे से बात करने से। ये इट्स अ लिटिल लाइक, बचपन में हम लोगों को एक मॉरल साइंस सब्जेक्ट होता था। तो सोच लीजिए कि आप सड़क क्रॉस कर रहे हैं, हाँ, तो यू फाइंड एन अ ब्लाइंड पर्सन एंड यू सी ही इज ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू क्रॉस द रोड, तो आप उनका हाथ पकड़ के उनको सड़क क्रॉस करते, हेल्प करते हैं, तो वो आपको शुक्रिया बोलते हैं और ब्लेसेस यू। आपको मन में एक एक स्ट्रेंज फीलिंग होता है, एक स्ट्रेंज गुड फीलिंग होता है। क्यों? आपको तो कुछ मिला नहीं है, क्यों होता है? Because you did something good that worked for somebody, that somebody felt good. This is perhaps a very basic human nature, so we'll have to find that. That's all that I would like to say.
We are truly grateful for your presence, and no words can describe our gratitude towards the enlightenment that you have got today. Thank you for watching our talk show, viewers, and stay connected and follow Adhyayam for such webinars. Until then, Jai Hind.
Absolutely. My salute to you. Jai Hind indeed. Thank you very
Jai
much
Hind, ma'am.
for giving me this opportunity. And all my very, very best wishes to such courageous souls like you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.